Good afternoon and welcome to the Liquid Lunch with the Regional Water Authority. You can catch our show every other Wednesday at noon on WNHH 103.5 FM or listen in anytime on YouTube or the podcast app of your choice. I'm Ed Crowder, Senior Communications Specialist at the Regional Water Authority in New Haven, and I'll be your substitute water nerd today so that our regular Liquid Lunch host, Kevin Watsey, can take some well-earned time off. He'll be back, refreshed and hopefully rejuvenated and maybe a little bit tanned for our next episode in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, we've got a great show for you today. Barry Cohen, the CEO of the Amity Regional Chamber of Commerce, is with me here in the WNHH studio in New Haven. We'll be talking a little bit about the value that high quality and reliable water service brings to our business community, and of course we'll also talk about the chamber and what it offers to the area's businesses and residents. And we'll probably geek out over some other stuff too, because Barry's been around and for a while and seen some things. So Barry, if you don't mind, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. Yes, as you said, Ed, I am the CEO of the Amity Chamber of Commerce, and it has been a blessing so far. I am a lifelong New Haven County resident. I currently live in West Haven. I have always believed that community service is a blessing. I have to tell you that it was very exciting to be asked to come here today because I was a former councilman and I've dealt with the Regional Water Authority before in that capacity. And when I started at the chamber about a year ago, was one of the first businesses that we were definitely collaborating with was you folks, and we're very appreciative of that.
We appreciate it too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And I tell you, I mean, I grew up. I'm a homegrown boy. I was my class of 1980 class president, and we're having our 45th reunion this year. Wow. Which tells you that I graduated quite young, if you will. I also have to say that we have done a lot of good in the community between food drives, pet food drives, you name it. We've done a lot in the community in terms of our friends and family throughout the community over the years, and so I'm happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. We're really excited to have you. And first of all, I guess, can you tell us a little bit about the Amity Chamber of Commerce?
Sure. The Amity Chamber of Commerce became the Amity Chamber of Commerce on March 27th of this year. When I got on board, when I became officially the Amity Chamber on July 1st, prior to that, I was a board member of the Orange Chamber for just a few months. And my other company, I have a private company, was just a regular member of the chamber, of the Orange Chamber. And I think, over that time when I first got on board, and it happened to a lot of chambers, that a lot during the pandemic, a lot of these chambers started to slow down and the membership started to drop and so forth. And there was a lot of change within the former Orange Chamber. And so when I came on, we were a financially stressed organization, but knew that we had, a great group of people that wanted to do stuff and get engaged. And so, my first 90 days, we said, what are we going to do that is going to really engage the community, not just chamber members, but also to show and to be able to create value, to provide relevance. And what we ended up doing was, we could have had a regular board meeting because it's around the summertime when most of these chambers have their board meeting. And I joked to one of the folks, I said, well, there'll be about, 6 or 8 of us sitting around the table drinking coffee. And I said, although I do like coffee, I said, let's do community awards. I said, because you know what, it's one of these things that we want to let people know that we're still around. And, that September, we had an annual meeting of community awards. We did the Policeman of the Year, we did the Fireman of the Year, we did Business of the Year. And God bless, for a small chamber at the time, like the Orange Chamber, we had close to 100 people attend, which was pretty magnificent for us. And from there, what we basically discovered, throughout that year and so forth, we had other communities come up to us that didn't have chamber of commerces, like Woodbridge for one. It was also true of Bethany. And also the idea that Orange is already like a brand. Amity is understood throughout the region through their school systems, through a lot of different organizations, that it is those three towns, Bethany, Woodbridge, Orange, of course, and even parts of New Haven for that matter. And so I remember looking Mika Cardozo, the first selectman, in the eye when I first met him at the community awards, and I said, next year I want to do it, and I want Woodbridge here. And little did we know that there was such a upsurge, such an interest from our own Orange members saying, why aren't we the Amity Chamber? We have customers in Amity and family in Amity and vice versa. And when we ended up making the change, it was very all-inclusive. It was also allowed us to expand, because if you take a look at chambers today in general, could be the New Haven Chamber, could be Central Connecticut Chamber, you name it. Most of them are regional in scope. For single town chambers, they do exist, but really to be able to provide the value that we can provide, and to also listen to our client base and community is really the best way to engage. And so I will tell you, within that year, we started July 1st with a certain number, and by December 31st of last year, we increased our membership by over 32%.
Wow.
And that was a pretty big wow, because it was really a lot of people just knocking on doors, being approached, wanting to make sure we were still around and so forth. But even today, I did a look at our year to date, 1 year after 12 months, and the chamber basically increased its membership over 45%. And so we're very proud of that. And what we've been able to do is, it's very important where my background, I mentioned before, I was a global director of marketing communications for an advanced technology company right here in New Haven County, and they were wonderful. And for the last 10 years, for 10 years, well, over 9 years, I've had my own company. And what we always talk about is what we talk about value creation. And when I started, when I had a full head of hair and a bigger nose, back in those days, I mean, everyone always talked about customer satisfaction, and then you basically progress to the idea of delighting the customer. Well, and where we basically took it in my own businesses, but also I like to think that we brought it to the chambers, what I really call member intimacy, because it's not a one size fits all. Some of the things that we might do for some of our larger members that are important to them, should it be an Avangrid, or a smaller member, should it be a hair salon or a restaurant, is very different. And it's not wrong or right. So you can go to any website, including our own, and you'll have your list of things about benefits of a chamber membership. But I said, I've been a member of too many chambers and in too many associations in my lifetime. And, I've obviously chaired a number of trade show organizations and been on a lot of boards myself. And I said, when we're doing business after hours, and why are we charging for that when they're already paying an admission?
Right.
And we did, and I'll get to it in a moment, some of our major programs, we did a health and fitness expo. And we give our members a free table to that when we can, the first come, first serve, because, we want you to have value. What we are supposed to do is provide opportunities, okay? And, at the end of the year, because it's a calendar year membership, I think our members know that, we could have done this, this, and this. We could have gone to a business before hours if it was that PEZ we did earlier this year, and we had there. Or we're going to be doing another business before hours on April 13th at Pickle Spot, okay? That's one thing. You want to, if you want to be an exhibitor at, should it be the upcoming Business Expo I know we're going to talk about later, you can do that. Same thing with the Health Expo. It's not a one-size-fits-all at all, but what it is really finding out what your business plan is, finding out what your pain points are, and finding out what we can do for you versus us just, throwing out to you, can you do this, can you do that? And I have to say, it's brought in a lot of unique members in the past year that are diverse as Comcast and Duck Donuts, if you will, to really bringing some of the big boys across, like Planet Fitness decided they were going to basically be joining, to really just some of the restaurants that have been around the area for ages but didn't necessarily understand how they could fit into the chamber. Someone like Gabriel's Restaurant that people know on the Post Road, very, very, people know who they are. And we can go on and on with that, but I think it's really a value proposition thing that we really try to bring forth. And I think that one thing I did say to the board, and I say it to everybody that I talk to, is we're not the Greater New Haven Chamber. They do a great job. And we're not the Central Connecticut Chamber, or for that matter, you name your chamber, because if we try to replicate and duplicate what a big chamber does, we're not going to do it as well because you don't have the resources to. But what we're going to do is we're going to become our own uniqueness, and I think a lot of the things that we've been doing is really some best practices, but now they're finding that our intimacy we're seeing in some of the bigger chambers, and we take it as a compliment that, we're doing that. So
it makes a lot of sense to do that in Amity, too. I'm a Bethany guy. I've lived in Bethany for about 10 years. I grew up in Hamden, but Amity has the three towns. Obviously, they're separate towns and they have their unique needs. But they're the business community in Bethany and in Orange and in Woodbridge. They just like businesses everywhere. They need to network. They need to coalesce, trade best practices, and it makes a lot of sense in Bethany and Amity in particular because it shares a school district. So there's already a lot of people who are interacting and know each other within those communities, and there's, I think, a lot of opportunity to sort of leverage the benefits of a group like that. And I have to say, I've been really impressed with the since you took over at the Orange Chamber and grew into the Amity Regional Chamber, I've been impressed with the number of events, the number of, everything from just ribbon cuttings to sort of larger regional events. And it feels like a real business community in a way that, maybe it didn't so much a few years ago. So,
it's part of it's just facilitating or being a marketing arm for some of the businesses. Yep. I mean,
you have a marketing background,
it's
right?
really, I was a global director of marketing communications for Enthone, now McDermott Enthone, now what have you, and it
kind
was
of playing into your strengths a little bit.
Yeah, and and it really it's one of those competencies. But you get to, I guess I'm fortunate. You never realize when you work in a corporate, and I'm also have my own business now, that you get to speak the language of business. You get to speak the language of technology, and no, I'm not an engineer, but I know what their, mindset needs to be, if you will. And I'll tell you, you hit on a good point because, some of the larger companies, they want to be able to demonstrate, but also to assist them in showing the community how they've created value. Should it be through their parks and recreation? Should it be through the charitable soup kitchens that they contribute to? And I can go on. And they're really that silent partner per se. And at the same time, there are those that want to be engaged in these larger efforts, but they're smaller, but yet they want to be involved with, and they want to have their product placement. Should it be a toy drive to please, put their basket there? We do stuff, I mean, in terms of marketing, like product placement. We did at Charter Senior Living of Orange. We did just around Valentine's Day. It happened to be, we had kind of a Valentine's Day thing after hour, and they did a wonderful job. And so we had a couple of our, what I call it is, according to Hearst newspapers, they are the best Thai restaurant in the state of Connecticut.
Wait, which one is this? I love
my Thai restaurant. They are fabulous.
They're wonderful. And
so, and the guy, and Pete, God bless him. He's one of those guys that was the first one up saying, I want to give you a couple of gift certificates for, for the night out Valentine's Day. And so they got the product placement, but more than that, Brugger's Bagels, their product placement, Duck Donuts, in terms of some of the events that they basically help sponsor. Kashmir Hair Salon, they were opening up. And a lot of it too is reinvigorating and reminding people of businesses that have been there a long time. Sure. Perfect example is, not everyone's a new business, but everyone has either a 5-year milestone or a new renovation made to their place or what have you. I mean, I mentioned Planet Fitness before. They're one of the big taxpayers, dependable. They've been in Orange 20 years, so they did a 20-year milestone ribbon cutting with lots of, soup and nuts. We've had others that have celebrated. They were so new in the beginning. They're finally doing the ribbon cuttings now. We have a lot of health and fitness organizations that are there, like Transformation and Strength and Pump Room. A lot of the very entrepreneurial companies, and so for them, it's really getting a voice. And for their voice, it could be just going to our once a month networking meetings that we have at the courtyard in Orange to basically talk to other folks, if you will, their fellow members. And you're going to find the same thing at the expo that we're doing. We have a symposium and expo coming up, but a lot of the symposium people, should it be the 3 dozen or so that we had at the health expo or the couple of dozen we're going to have at the business expo, they like to network amongst themselves. And, and you're going to have like the small businesswoman who does great embroidery to somebody who is a small travel agent. And they're going to be right next to, the Milford Bank, that's going to be there, And
I think that's one of the great things about a regional chamber like this, right? You've got obviously some of the bigger companies. There's Avon Grid, the company that operates United Illuminating in Southern Connecticut Gas. You've got Laticrete, companies that are fairly large in size and scope, but when they're mingling with maybe your mom and pop deli down the street, maybe just like across the border in Bethany, for example, there are opportunities, right? They might be able to, get a catering, set up a catering opportunity for that deli or whatever. So, can you tell me at the most fundamental level, what exactly is a chamber's role in a community or a region?
The definition of the chamber that I always have given is, and from a very broad to a little narrower scope, is a lot of people, and rightfully so, they say, what's the difference between, let's say, the Economic Development Commission of a town, if you will, or Corporation Council of a town versus the chamber. And I do believe that from a municipal level or whatever, their major job, and they'll be the first one to say, is to bring business into town.
Yep.
They want to bring it into town. They want to basically do their prospecting. But a chamber, by and large, is we want you to maintain and grow your business to help market that business. And that's something a lot of towns or a lot of other, they don't have the resources, nor is it nor should it be their mission to do that. And so realistically, when you take a look at a chamber membership, and ours is lower than others, but you get that back. If you're doing a ribbon cutting, you're going to get that back to the promotion that we do. And we do it differently, like I say, customer intimacy. We'll do news releases. We don't just post it on social media and be done with it. We also make sure that those elected officials and appointed officials from those towns are aware of it and like to show up, because you know what? There's nothing like, shaking the guy's hand that represents you,
Yep.
And so I would say in terms of the chamber, what our mission is, or one of our mission is, yes, we basically do a lot of marketing, if you will, and we can talk tactically about business after hours and expos and stuff like that, but it's really to educate, inform, to advocate. When I say advocate, it could be through a symposium, or it could be basically speaking on one of our members' behalf up in Hartford. It's also to networking opportunities. And all this really comes together, when you think about advocating, networking, community outreach, and you also, put the overall helping. In our case, or what we do is we'll sit down with a particular member and we'll talk about their marketing plan, because that happens to be my forte. So I'm more than happy to sit down and talk about their marketing plan and how, and provide guidance and input into that. And I think that it's very much appreciated, but at the same time, you have those members that really want to get engaged, and what you mentioned before, and get engaged could be from a business connection. I will tell you, I always joke. One of our older members said to me, "Barry, you know what you are?" I said, "Well, be careful. What am I?" Okay, and I said, "I've heard a lot," and he said, "No, you're a dot connector." So really, it's connecting the dots. I'll give you, for instance, is whenever a member, it could be for their own private function or their own corporate function. It could be for ribbon cutting. It could be for an after hours. I always recommend, let's say, other restaurants. And, and I basically leave it. I mean, there's been many times, more than many times, that some of our restaurants are basically referred and they get the business. And I mean, we mentioned Mai Tai, that's one of them. We mentioned Jimmy John's is another one, that's another one. Gabriel's Restaurant, and there's a list of others. 700 Degree Pizza just came on board. So those are people that get the references, but also gives them opportunities to have sample outings. Even Comcast is a great example where they're coming into, when I say coming into town, coming into the Orange, particularly in parts of Woodbridge area, that they want to basically grow. And so, they have what they call their surprise and delight pop-up shops. Well, they did, 2 hours at this place, 2 hours, and we help set that up for them because, it helps out our members too. You walk in, you get a $5 coupon, it goes towards the purchase of something. So, in those particular aspects, it's really important. Because, it's you don't want to be cookie cutter. At the same time, you don't want to also ignore some of the traditional things that a chamber does. I think with chambers it's also educational, because sometimes I think all you do is ribbon cuttings, and then and you know what? If you don't sit down with the person and provide opportunities for them, then I don't blame them. And they probably would think that, So.
Well, and then again, there's obviously you have some expertise in marketing yourself, and you've got a wealth of knowledge, but also from other members, that networking allows them, if you're having trouble dealing with zoning issues or business, there's likely somebody else within that business community that has encountered the same challenges that you might be facing, and might have some insights that can help you.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, we had a couple of new members that the first thing they come up to me, because they were on a main corridor of a road, and they had their banners like, new, just open, whatever, but they were, what have you. And they said, so and so from the city came up to us because there's supposed to be so many feet. Where can we put them and stuff like that? And I said, well, I knew some of it, but the other point, I said, hold on a second. You pick up the phone. You say, John, can you please talk to? Because they want to do the right thing,
Right.
and they don't, because it's kind of funny.
But just helping them navigate that,
yeah,
it can be really complex, especially for a new business owner that hasn't dealt with that in a new community, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this over here was, they were reopening, but I'll tell you, even before it became the Amity Chamber, which is such a unique chamber, and it's a lot of, it's very challenging, it's a lot of fun, is when it started out being just the Orange Chamber, there is no center of town, there isn't that community square. And I mean, yes, you have wonderful High Plains Community School, but I mean, so by default, in the town of Orange, your main gathering spot is the Post Road.
Yep.
And on the Post Road, and it's not like we go after it, but we've always had, West Haven and Milford members, because as I always said to somebody when I came on board, I don't think, and I sincerely believe this, some may not, but I do. I don't think that chambers should be competitive because it's really part of your business plan. If you're on the Boston Post Road and you're 100 feet away from the town line from Milford,
right,
you should consider both. But if you're in downtown Milford, why do you want to be in the Orange Chamber? Everything is, but it depends where your business space is. Very, very much so.
Sure, we're a New Haven organization, but we obviously do business with a lot of customers in the Amity Chambers, so it makes a lot of sense for us.
Well, I'll tell you, we had, we just did a couple of months ago. We did a little showcase, a little home improvement showcase. It wasn't as much an after hours, but it was a business showcase. It was AAI flooring, Amori tile and design, and this is no lie. Anyone can check this out. Their building is physically in West Haven. Their parking lot is in Orange.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't get any more than that. And, and so with that, we always, in this particular case, so we invited, just like we do Orange officials, did West Haven officials, but it's not competitive per se. I mean, and there's some that, we got a new member, Milford Auto Group was a very new member of ours, and they're on the Post Road, because they know their demographics, they know their customer base, and even though they're in Milford, guess what? They're one of their customer bases is Woodbridge and the Valley and stuff like that. So it's not a one size fits all. It's not just geography. It's also part of what. Not to say that there's anything. It goes vice versa too. There's a number of our members that also belong to Milford. When I say Milford,
yeah, sure, we're in the New Haven Greater New Haven Chamber, and
but the Milford Chamber also includes people for your listeners. The Milford Regional Chamber also includes West Haven, so I use them interchangeably, just so you have to do that. But no, I do think it's it's fun to get to. There's some other events that are going to be coming up that we want to be able to provide some difference. It was like even with this upcoming symposium and expo that we're going to be doing on July 30th. There's we could have just done another expo. We could have just done a symposium, but we really took some best practices. I mean, from where I came from in my life, but also, CBIA does a great job with some symposium stuff. There's others that CETUS does a great job. There's also a lot of I'm going to say this wrong. The Connecticut Economic Department of Development of Community Development. It's all in
the
there.
ECD, right?
All those words are in there, but I have them in the wrong order. And so so we started doing this. Like, we'll
fix it in the tape.
We're going to fix it in the tape. Yeah, we will. But it'll come out in the wash. But no, I mean, but to that point is, so our expo isn't just our exhibitors. We're going to have the Small Business Administration there.
Yeah. We're
going to have the Small Business Development Corporation, the Economic Development Corporation there. And they're going to be in the expo room or what have you. At the same time, hey, listen, when we did the symposium part, it was like, anyone that knows me is I'm a little persistent. But I would tell you that we were very blessed and very grateful to have, and I know I'm jumping here, I'm sorry, to have Governor Lamont is going to be our keynote speaker.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the expo, because I know it's coming up soon, and it's like, is this sort of the signature event for the
you know what?
Signature event?
It is. When I look at this and I look at our planning.
July 30th, right?
Yeah, July 30th.
July 30th.
And now that we're at the year, I would say that it's a Wednesday. It's July 30th, and it is from 3:30 to 7. The symposium, and you can come to all of it or part of it or what have you. The symposium part's from 3:30 to about 5:30, and the expo's from 5:30 to 7. the days are longer and stuff like that. People can get out of work a little bit early, come to the symposium. People come after work, go to the expo, or both. We really are happy that we're doing at Yale West Campus. And by the way, Yale West is also a chamber member, if you will, and we thank them for that. And the event is some of the platinum sponsors, if you will, of the event is Avangrid and the Milford Bank. Mm-hmm. We have I'm gonna make sure I get all the colors right, if you will. I know I missed somebody. The gold sponsor is Coastal Bridge Advisors, and the silver sponsor is Bear, Hammerman, and Cohen and Berger. So we can't do these big things without people sponsoring, so that we can do that. And honestly, it's going to be we're going to have Governor Lamont give the keynote address. We're going to have State Comptroller Sean Scanlon give the economic outlook.
That's a pretty big deal for a smallish chamber, having the governor come. And that's how'd you manage that?
Well, to tell you the truth is, when I looked at this and I said, "What's my cell?" And I said that respectfully. I said, "So what's my cell?" I talked to the right people. They're very cooperative. His office was extremely cooperative to me. I think I wore him down. No, but no, very cooperative.
He was camped outside his office for a couple of weeks.
But, and I talked to the schedulers. I talked to his chief of staff communications, Rob Blanchard. All wonderful people. But really, what the cell really was and this was an honest cell. When I see a lot of these activities go on, it always seems like this little gap is Amity. And part of it is because they didn't have a chamber of commerce, or there wasn't that fit, if you will. And, don't get me wrong, God bless, everybody. I don't, whoever the elected official is, you'll see a lot of stuff going on, God bless, and, in New Haven or Hartford or Bridgeport or Waterbury, what have you, all wonderful. But this little gap is the inaugural event. I think that was important. And also, we try to, and the compelling reason is that we have some really neat companies. We have a very eclectic, beyond Avangrid, you have one of the top 10 coolest companies, I say, in the USA, which is Pez Candy. They're going to be there. You have Orange Fence that is going to be here 95 years. And and so what you're saying is you have such an expansive history. So and then you have the more iconic newer brands like I mentioned before, like the Duck Donuts or what have you. So it's an interesting thing, and and so the governor, when the governor accepted, it was I believe that he's I just think the whole program's wonderful because it's the way we developed it out is it's business, but it's also for business large, business small, individual sole proprietors, but also families that can come to the expo part. So it's really robust because you're going to have besides Controller Scanlon speaking on the economic outlook in terms of Connecticut, and by then we'll have the July-August outlook based on these times that we're in right now with some of the laws and tax policies being under review. But then after that, we're going to have also a business panel that's going to be moderated by Jorge Santiago. He's the CEO and president of the Milford Bank. And we have pretty much an all-star team and they're going to talk about, I want to make sure I get this right. I want to get the right word, business conditions during uncertain economic times. And, and I'll be honest with you, it's going to really talk about, loans and mortgages and investments and things like that for businesses large and small. And you're going to have Mark DuPont, who is a partner and president of Coastal Bridge Advisors, on that board. Louis Silva, he's the president and CEO of the Community Investment Corporation right here in New Haven. And Kevin Coughlin, who's the vice president of commercial lending. It's a 20 minutes, but these are very fast sessions because these people are going to be around to talk to you afterwards. So it's going to be extremely there. And then we get on to what I call the more business practices type of thing, like the more robust interactive networking part of it. And we're going to have two very dynamic speakers. One is Diana Pagano. Diana Pagano is a great entrepreneur. She's a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, but she is also a keynote speaker herself, and she's also a mindset coach. And she's going to really be speaking about business empowerment, purpose-driven culture, results-driven teams. We just put out something today on her, and I have to tell you, you never know what's hot and what's not when you post stuff. And I posted it last evening, and I woke up this morning on Instagram.
Just blowing up on you?
Oh my God, it was like blowing up on me. It's like, oh my God. It's like, what do I do with this? It's like, I figured, but it was just amazing to me, her following, but also just, you can hear her speak right on DianaPagano.com. You can just see the inspirational speaking that she gives. and then we're going to follow it up with someone who, her name is, you may not know the name, but you'll probably recognize the face, is Kathy Boyle. Kathy Boyle is the president of Chapel Hill Advisors, but Kathy Boyle, has also appeared on Bloomberg and MSNBC,
Okay.
and she speaks on a lot of succession planning topics, but this one that is really one of her most popular presentations, and again, this will also be about 20 minutes, is, I'm going to make sure I get this right, How to Meet 1,000 People at Lunch, Maximize Your Network for Success. So it's really for the small business guy, so there's something in it for everyone. And then we're going to break, and like I said, we have about 24 companies at the expo. And so, yeah, it's going to be a very full, fun-packed program, and honestly, we're really we're working hard to get everything done in the right amount of time and so forth, and we're going to try to keep right on schedule. It's going to start at 3:30 promptly. But it's an opportunity for the Amity. I think this is a game changer.
Yeah.
It really, and a game changer being, okay, we've come from tough economic and financial times. The chamber, but I was going to be on board. I looked at the books. It was like, do you want me to help you close the chamber?
Yeah.
I mean, it was really like we had about enough operating income, and thank God for some charitable people that did a lot of pro bono for us. Maybe we have 5 or 6 weeks of operating income. But we went out there, we slugged, and there was, and I got news. We are now financially stable. We're able to do these things, and to the point that it's taking me 10 minutes to answer your question on.
That's okay. I forgot the question.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I believe that this inaugural event will be one of our keystone events, one of our pillar events. The Health and Fitness Expo, which is in January, is we'll hold it again next year. And next year, if I have the date in front of me, I probably don't. But I do. January 10th is going to be the Health and Fitness Expo.
Yeah, we did that with you guys last year. I was really impressed.
And the Regional Water Authority was the platinum sponsor of that. And by the way, I know you're going to be at the Business Expo.
I'll be at the Business Expo.
Business Expo as well. And so that's another event which is really wowed. And our other event, which was the first one, I say there's going to be a fourth one hopefully next year. But right now, our 3 pillar events that we have is the one coming up on September 25th this year. It's going to be our second annual meeting and community awards, and it's really going to take in. It'll be at the Courtyard by Marriott once again, and it'll be a morning. The time to be announced, I believe, is about 9 o'clock off the top of my head, and it's going to basically the Policeman of the Year and the Fire Person or Volunteer of the Year, Officer of the Year for both Orange, Bethany, and Woodbridge. Woodbridge has a volunteer Orange fire department, as does Orange. And we'll be doing that as well as the Business of the Year. And that really has been we're expecting a big crowd for that. So there's those 3 pillar events.
So again, July 30th is the Business Expo. September 25th is the Community Awards.
Correct.
And then the January 10th, you said?
Yeah, January 10th
is the Health and Fitness Expo.
Yeah, Ian,
if people, I'm sorry, if people want to find out about these, they can go to I assume the website or
I would say the best thing is
Facebook.
I would say a couple different ways. Please, go to our website, which is Amity CT as in Connecticut, AmityCTChamber.com.
Yep.
Or for that matter, just please follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah,
and LinkedIn for that matter.
A lot of great opportunities. I have to say, I've been to some of your events. They're always very professionally done, and
thank you.
I think a good showcase for the business community. Real quick, I just want to pivot a little bit and talk about one of my favorite subjects. No, actually, my favorite subject. I'm paid to say that. Water, but at the Regional Water Authority, obviously, we like to think that the product that we deliver to our customers and businesses and residents is very important. But let's talk about the value of water to the regional economy. First of all, is like the availability of good, reliable, robust water service. Is that something businesses think of when they're making decisions, or is it like the 730th thing on a long list that starts with like taxes and cost of living?
No, you know what? Even if they don't want to think about it, they need to think about it, and they do think about it. I'm convinced of that. I come from a advanced technology corporation, and it was like with the late Gary Bingham. It said, imagine a day without water.
Yeah.
And because everything you touch, see, or
You're talking
feel,
about our former CEO,
yes, I'm
Larry
sorry,
Bingaman, who unfortunately passed last year.
Yes.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no. I it's one of those things that it's a crucial. It's one of the engines of our economy. And when I say of our economy, in terms of in a couple of different ways, in terms of manufacturing, I can tell you if you're in almost any, I mean, I know most people know about biotechnology and they know about electric power and things like that. They're all basically, the water's so important in those particular industries. But if you're doing testing of any type, you need a certain water purity that's done in any experimentation. For that matter, you need any type of water type if you're, if you're a manufacturer and you're plating components or something like that there has to be a certain, it's almost like when you're making a cake. Yep. You can't make a cake without the eggs, or if you can, it's going to taste like what. Okay, But even water, I mean, the water. If you're going to really talk about the and you can talk about agriculture, obviously needing water and all of those other raw materials that help for to grow our foods, if you will. Yep. That has to be in a certain way. But all of this really, when you talk about manufacturing, you talk about industrial, talk about business. It really, you have to equate water with being part of your innovation plan, with being part of your technology roadmap plan. You can't do without it. At the same time, if you take it a step beyond, and maybe I'm taking it a step beyond, is you have to waste treat. You have to waste treat, so the water that you're using has to be a certain purity. If that water is more in the laboratories, and let's say it's distilled water, versus something that comes out of your tap, which for the most part is hard water. It really, it's one of these things that you have to know that if something's off, you always start, if something's off, and I'm a Six Sigma guy, you always start with your basics. You always start with your platform, and then you work your way up, because sometimes the simplest things are the things you take for granted. And thankfully, with the Regional Water Authority, in the state of Connecticut, we're rated as being very high water, high water quality. But that quality is more than just, and thank God for our residences and regular consumers, but it's also for the manufacturer to know that he has one of the best water qualities in the country, if you will, to leverage in terms of when he makes, and I'll be very simple, it makes the recipe for whatever the recipe that he's making. And I'll tell you something. I mean, when I wrote something down here, is because I thought it was just so smart and clever. I knew it was smart and clever. I can't find it enough.
That's okay.
But it's really, I really think about water being that economic imperative.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective is, you want your workforce to be healthy. If you don't have health, I mean, I was very blessed that I got to travel internationally a lot in my earlier career when I had that full head of hair.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, fresh water supply eradicates poverty.
I mean, you don't really think about it, right? Because you're so used to having water, you can just turn on the tap and drink, and it's good, and you don't have to worry about an amoeba or something like that. But when you travel to places where you just can't take it for granted, you realize how important it is.
Even the taste, you can even the taste. I mean, you want to have a healthy workforce, but you also want to have a workforce that can recreate. Yeah. Okay. And I know only because of my past life and my current life as the chamber director. I mean, you guys right here, you guys, at the Regional Water Authority, you take for granted that you guys have reservoirs, let's say in Woodbridge, that need to be maintained, but also some of the parks and I'll call hiking trails and so forth. I mean, you have, I'm going to miss some. You're going to have, you have, oh goodness me, lake. I know I was going to call it a pond. Okay, I know it's like a pond.
No, we call them lakes. Yeah, they're lakes.
No, you have Lake Bethany, you have the Maltby Lakes, you have Lake Chaplin. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, that these are places to recreate, but also it's a quality of life issue because you want people to move into the state of Connecticut, and because we have such a work shortage, of manufacturing shortage and so forth, of workers and of talent and so forth. And so, those are low-hanging fruit. I mean, when you think about some of the more essential things that you need for a good workforce and a good economy, water's at the start of it, if you like it or not, and then you get into infrastructure, and part of the infrastructure is if something's flooding or not flooding, and that's where you get, then you talk about water, then you talk about the utilities, and then that's, I can tell you, when you look at, I can tell you from my experience, I should say, when you look at sites to locate or build or expand in, you're looking at some of those very essential elements because you're putting in millions of dollars into that investment, and you're also trying to bring over or maintain your workforce to show them, how you're creating value for both the community, for the tax base of that town. And so, yeah, I think it's a very, very important part of the economy.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, yes, of course we run the water treatment plants, and we've got our reservoirs, and we run the pipes under the ground, and there's that part of our business, and that's obviously core to what we do. But we also own 28,000 acres of land through.
How many?
28,000 acres. We
A
have
lot of
the
acres.
RWA has 28,000 acres of watershed land, but a lot of that is actually open to recreation. So you can get a permit on our website, ourwater.com plug. You can get a permit for $25 that gives you access as an individual to our land, where we've got, I think, 81 miles of hiking trail. We've got many miles of lakeside land where you can fish, stream fishing. You can do, in some spots, we have, you can do cross-country skiing. We've got some areas where you can do cycling. So, it's part of it is obviously part of the value of having that land is to protect the water, right? It just acts as a natural filter before the water even gets to the reservoir, and then before it gets to the treatment plant where we treat it so that it's good to drink. That land itself helps us to preserve, to maintain the quality of our water supply. But it also, again, some of it is quite a good deal of land. We've got, I think, 9 recreation areas that touch on 13 towns in our community, including, we've got a recreation area at Lake Maltby and West Haven and Orange. We've got Lake Chamberlain in Bethany, and Lake Bethany, also in Bethany.
Right.
And
Pine Hill.
Yep, Pine Hill, thank you.
I knew there's one I forgot. Yep.
Yeah. So, again, it speaks to that the importance of, when you're a company looking to remain in an area, being able to sort of offer a good quality of living within the region, I think is an important part of that decision. And, so we're not just blessed with having a robust supply of water, which we do in this area, but it's also a fair amount of recreational opportunities and, good quality of living here.
Well, I always think that, when I think of the Regional Water Authority per se, I know we talked a little bit about recreation, it's really one of those things that it's a community engagement. It's one of those ways that you can engage the community. And I know there's a lot of, one of the things the Chamber looks at is, we like to trusted brands, people that have a confidence in the brand, if you will, and they have confidence in the Regional Water Authority. They have confidence in their electrical supplier. They have confidence in some of the brands of some of the recreational companies that I basically mentioned earlier in the program. And so it's really to, in a way, I think the Chamber really showcases or helps to showcase and facilitate or to elevate or recognize those that have been around for quite a while, as well as those that are the new kids on the block. So we're very, very proud of that.
So a couple of things you might not know about the RWA. We have our own police force. A lot of people don't realize that. We have our own police department. The RWA is actually, it's a nonprofit.
Are they waiting outside the door to arrest me when I leave?
No.
Okay.
We were not for profit, but we're officially a political subdivision of the state. So that's sort of on par with like a town or city. So we have a police department that has all the duties and obligations and powers of a local police department. They patrol our land, looking for things that whether it's people on ATVs who are trespassing or if there's some sort of problem on our land, they're there to help. So
it's like a university.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying myself, because I know that. UNH.
So,
which is also a member. University of New Haven's a new member.
There you go. There you go. We're just name checking left and right.
I don't want to miss anybody. I have we have many members.
You want to consult your list before we got about 10 minutes.
It's almost like the congressional.
If you missed any, now's the time.
It's almost like the congressional record. When it's like we want to do a filibuster, I'll just start taking it out. I'll just start reading the names, from the great state of Texas,
Exactly.
We'll do that some other day,
So a little bit of water trivia. I wanted to do a quick segment. I don't think Kevin does this, but this is going to be my thing. So if
Okay.
I ever host again, this is
So
going
is
to be
this
my
nah at Kevin right now? Is that what that is?
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, I want to
figured.
distinguish myself as a host.
I'm sure you
know,
do.
Kevin's got his thing.
Kevin,
I'm
you're on
gonna do mine.
vacation. He's taking over. Okay.
How much water must an average person consume every day to maintain health?
You're not going to give me an A, B, or C. I'm just going to throw in an answer, aren't I?
You just throw out an answer.
3 gallons.
3 gallons. That's actually, it's 10 cups. So they tell you need to drink 8 cups of water, but you get a lot of that from food. So that's.
I got to do the calculation. Was it a 10-ounce cup, 8-ounce cup, 8-ounce cup?
I think it's 2.5 quarts. So it's 8. That would be 8-ounce quart.
Oh, I'm way
cups.
off. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. Question 2. This 1995, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi film is basically Mad Max set on the ocean, except that it stars Kevin Costner and he's sporting a nice set of gills.
Oh, I know that answer.
Do you?
It was an awful movie.
It's not Aquaman.
No, it was so bad, but it was good. I didn't like the movie.
It was exactly one of those movies.
It was one of those movies. Oh my God!
Yeah. It has water in the name.
Waterworld.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
No, I remember that.
Ding ding.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, 1 out of 2.
Okay,
You're good.
Okay.
Let me see. How much of the Earth's water is suitable for drinking? By percentage. I'm not going to ask you to
Suitable
go.
for drinking.
Yeah.
So that doesn't include if you're going to, like, you can take ocean water and reclaim the salt out.
I mean, you can drink it, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, but as far as 10%,
you'll die. But it's 1%.
I was going to say that.
1%. No, that blew me away.
That.
Actually,
Yeah.
97% of the world's water supply is salt water.
Well, yeah.
And of what remains, like 2/3 is locked away in glaciers, which I guess eventually might become drinking
Right.
water if they keep melting. But
I'm
yeah,
going to say 1%. Damn. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
No, that was, you're
I got 0.5. Okay.
all right. Here's one. A 1970s iconic 1970s band wrote the classic "Smoke Underwater."
The war. Just the deaf. The Stillwater Band. No, I'm way off.
Deep Purple.
Really?
"Smoke Underwater."
Oh God. Yes. Okay. Oh wow.
That's okay.
I should have had that one.
Yep.
Okay.
And I actually thought that was about something completely different until I looked this up, and it turns out it has to do with a 1971 Frank Zappa concert at the Montreux Casino in Switzerland, and some idiot lit off a flare gun and caught the roof on fire. Nobody was killed, luckily, but it was a big disaster. And apparently, Deep Purple were sitting there in their hotel room watching this thing, and it inspired the.
I thought maybe someone else lit up while they were.
Yeah, and if you listen, you'll hear the reference to Frank Zappa and the Mothers.
Yeah, I figure myself, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there you go. And all right, I'll give you one last here.
I got one right so far. Go ahead.
You got one right. 2 out of 2. We're not going to.
Okay.
What's the name of the ship that sinks in the 1997 movie Titanic?
I was going to use the word Titanic, but oh God, I have has to be with water.
The ship that sinks in the 1997 movie The Titanic. Don't overthink this one, Barry.
The Titanic.
The Titanic. Ding, ding, ding.
That's
You got
what I
it.
said. The Titanic. That's what I initially said. I said the Titanic.
Yeah, I know, but I was going to let you sweat there for a minute.
Okay. I said to myself, I thought it was the Titanic. Initially, I said to myself, I said, okay, the Titanic. You know.
Titanic. Okay, 2 out of 2. That qualifies you as a winner on those.
Okay, aren't we all winners? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got some more questions for you, and these I
Go for
guarantee you'll get right because they're just about you. And this is
Just
Kevin.
about me? Oh,
These are just about you. Yeah, Kevin does this on every show, so
Oh, does
this is
he?
his closer. So to borrow a catchphrase from Monty Python, now for something completely different.
Mhm.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I do.
Cats, dogs, mice?
I have the rescues, the West Highland Terrier rescues, and their name are Piper and Finn,
Mhm.
and they are adorable. They're my kids.
Okay. Favorite musician or band or musical outfit?
Oh my God, I'm very eclectic in that. I will tell you, I do anything from Elton John to Lady Gaga, right to Broadway. I'm all over the board.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Favorite hobby?
favorite hobby, I would tell you, my favorite hobby is going to the gym. I love to work out.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
And we've got about 1 minute to wrap it up here. So cookies, brownies, or ice cream?
Oh man. Wow. Ice cream.
There's actually a Ben and Jerry's flavor that's cookies and brownies. So I
That's what I was
managed to
thinking.
get. Yeah, exactly.
I figured if we're going to put it all together, it's like someone said M&M's, like cookie dough, but yeah.
So let me see. I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
But if there's any one thing that you'd like listeners to take away from this conversation,
I would like people to, first of all, thank you and thank the Regional Water Authority for not just being a member. And yes, I'm holding on to your membership plaque right here to give you at the end.
oh, gee, thank you.
But also no matter if you belong to a chamber or not, please get engaged with your local chamber. There's lots of great things going on. There's lots of free things going on. Lots of community, and I hope that I see many of you on July 30th from 3:30 to 7. Stay as long or as little as you'd like. It's going to be a great event coming up. And any questions at all, please feel free to contact me at amityctchamber.com. Thank you so much.
Great. You've been listening to The Liquid Lunch with the RWA. If you missed any portion of today's broadcast, you can always catch us on YouTube or the podcast app of your choice. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.